What's up, Witcher fans? It's Strangelove here, and for this video I'll be showing you how to get this beastly silver sword called the Aerondight. Now, this sword may seem familiar to you if you played the previous Witcher games, because you can actually get this sword in the first Witcher game and bring it into Witcher 3 by importing your game save. But since this is probably not an option for a lot of you, I'm going to be showing you how to get this through one of the Blood and Wine side quests. Now, the Aerondight is a relic silver sword that has a special charge attribute. Each blow landed with the Aerondight generates a charge that boosts the sword's damage by 10%, and when fully charged, the sword generates critical damage with every hit. The charges deplete over time or if you take damage in between. Also, killing enemies with a fully charged Aerondight will cause the damage on the sword to permanently increase based on your level. So as you practice killing monsters with the sword and level up, the Aerondight's going to improve right along with you. Now, in order to get the Aerondight sword, you'll have to complete a secondary quest called There Can Only Be One. Travel west of Corvo Bianco until you reach a little island in the middle of a lake. The Aerondight sword is basically Excalibur. It's protected by a mild-mannered hermit in the middle of a pond, and it can only be taken by the most chivalric individual. To prove that you're worthy to wield the sword, you must first show that you embody the 5 chivalric virtues: generosity, compassion, valor, honor, and wisdom. Each of these virtues can be proven through the choices that you make during your time in Toussaint. There are multiple quest opportunities to express each virtue, so in case you miss your chance in one quest, you can usually make up for it in another quest, assuming you correct your mistakes. I would recommend trying to prove these chivalric virtues as soon as possible so that you can get the Aerondight sword relatively early. Now, to help you guys out, I'm going to go over some of the quest options for proving each of these virtues. I'll try to keep it as spoiler-free as possible, but some of these examples will require me to go into a bit of detail, so consider yourself warned. Alright, let's start off with compassion, because this one can be proven relatively early in Blood and Wine. After the arena battle during the main questline, all you have to do to show some compassion is spare the Shaelmar's life rather than kill it. And based off of Geralt's reaction to the whole thing, I felt like this was a pretty obvious choice to make anyway, but in case some of you missed that one, you can also play through a secondary quest called Big Game Hunter and decide not to kill the Panthers. Afterward, inquire about the Count's life, ask about his daughter, and then accept his invitation to his exhibition when he makes the offer. You should probably attend the exhibition as well. Generosity is a fairly easy virtue to prove since all you have to do is not act like a greedy old scrub. After completing the Blood Run main quest, wander around Beauclair for a little while until you eventually are approached by a child delivering you a letter. Tip the kid 5 crowns to show your generosity. If for some reason you couldn't spare 5 crowns for the messenger, your other option is a little more expensive. Head over to the painter in Beauclair and have him paint Geralt's portrait. Purchase the painting afterwards for 1,000 crowns for a job well done and to prove your generosity.
Why not? It'll make an interesting memento, though I'd hardly call the price a bargain.
Honor is expected to be the primary virtue of any chivalric knight, so unsurprisingly there are several ways that you can prove this virtue. Your first option is through the secondary quest Warble of a Smitten Knight. Head over to Guillaume at the medical tent in the tourney grounds to get this one started. Continue through the tourney and complete the horse race. Shortly afterward, you'll be challenged to a duel. Accept the duel and win to prove yourself honorable. Another option is to investigate a ghostly swabble in the side quest Till Death Do You Part. When you return to the tavern, explain the situation as a marital spat to maintain your honor.
Just a marital spat.
While wandering through Beauclair, you may also stumble upon an art curator frantically looking for the missing stones on an important statue. And yes, it's those kind of stones. Agree to help the art curator find the precious jewels, and when you track them down, return them to the art curator to fulfill your honorable duty. And just for good measure, don't forget to give them a good rubbing for yourself. As a side note, if you decide not to return the stones and instead allow the old man to keep them, this may also fulfill your compassion quota, at least from what I've read, so keep this in mind if you still need to complete this virtue because it just might work. To fulfill the virtue of Valor, continue through the Warble of a Smitten Knight quest and complete the activities with Vivian in the forest. Afterwards, tell her that despite all that's happened, you're still going to go through with the tourney like a real champ. Now, to prove your valor, you have to complete the tourney and win, so you may want to make a quick save just before finishing the forest activities, just so that you can replay the final arena battle in the event of a loss. Another way to prove your valor is through a side quest called Feet as Cold as Ice. Complete the quest by defeating the beast, and then tell the knight to grow some stones and take the trophy home for himself. And actually, I'm not really sure if it's selecting this dialogue option that fulfills the valor virtue, or if it's defeating the creature itself, so you may want to do both just in case. Finally, there are several ways for Geralt to express his wisdom. The first option is through the main Blood and Wine quest called Le Cage au Feu. Examine the White's lair and hide in the cabinet when the time comes. Instead of attacking the White, choose to lift the curse and have yourself a spoonless dinner. This should fulfill your wisdom quota and earn yourself a new friend in the process. Alternatively, you can complete a secondary quest called Father Knows Worst. Help save the brother, then encourage a peaceful outcome by selecting the dialogue option, "No one dies, not today." These should prove to be some wise words indeed. But come to think of it, I actually fulfilled the wisdom requirement before playing either of those two quests, and I think it's because I answered the riddle correctly on the first try during the Beast of Toussaint. I had taken a stab in the dark and said, "It's a greenhouse," and it ended up being the right answer, so I'd say this fulfills more of a luck virtue than a wisdom one, but it should probably work for you guys nonetheless. Once you've fulfilled all 5 chivalric virtues, head back to the lake and have the hermit judge your deeds. Your last challenge will be to fight the hermit for the right to wield the sword. He uses some powerful water magic to knock you around, but as long as you get up in his face and fight him at close range, you should be able to defeat the hermit relatively quickly. Upon doing so, the Lady of the Lake will emerge to grace you with her presence and grant you the Aerondight sword. I've found that the Whirl ability is really useful with this sword because it lets you get in a ton of consecutive attacks, which charges up the sword really quickly. I also recommend that once you get Aerondight, you make a trip back to the rune rite and put Severance on the sword. This will really boost the range of your special attacks, and you can go straight up Butcher of Blaviken on any creatures unlucky enough to encounter you. Alright you guys, I hope you found this video helpful, and if you know of any other ways to fulfill the chivalric virtues, leave them in the comments below to help out your fellow witchers in case there was anything I missed. Thank you guys for watching, make sure to subscribe to stay up to date on my uploads, and I'll catch you guys at the next video.